Hey, bestie. First of all, Merry Christmas to everybody. I have a story time for y'all before we go to bed, but you have to go get your snack, okay? It's okay. You can have a late night snack. It's okay. Get off the bed and go get a snack, bro. Thank you. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't care if your back is getting big. Get that snack. Anyways, so there's this guy. Let's call him Mark. Mark submitted this story from something that happened to him a couple of years ago. Until this day, he has no explanation for it. And before this, he didn't really believe in anything haunted or supernatural, but now he truly, fully does. Hence why he follows my page. And let me just say, I like the guys that follow my page. I want more guys to follow my page. Wait. I realized how that sounds. What I meant was the girls obviously follow my page, but I feel like why can't guys listen to spooky stories too? I know I have a couple of guys that follow me. Or maybe you guys are silent watchers. So if you're a guy, comment under this video. So Mark is a corporate guy. Mark went to college. He has 2 masters. He currently works a corporate job and he makes a lot of money. However, he works all the time and he travels all the time. So around the holidays a couple of years ago, he ended up having to travel to this really small town because his company was expanding into that small town. And the town was basically like trees and cabins. Anyways, he doesn't stay at a hotel since it's Christmas. He decided to stay at a cabin, basically like an Airbnb, right? So he books the Airbnb and whatever, and he gets to the house. Everything is great. They even have a Christmas tree there. Obviously, Mark is completely different from this town. Like, he's like a city boy, and this town is like, I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, he gets there, he meets his Airbnb host, they spoke, he's very nice. The host tells him that the neighbors are very friendly, like they're very good people. But the Airbnb host kept it a buck with him and told him, let me tell you something. If after midnight, there's a rule in this town, after midnight, you never open your door. After midnight, if you hear people calling your name, you hear people singing, whatever you hear, you don't. Because it seems like you don't know what kind of town that you came into, but I'm letting you know. And Mark thought that was like a weird request, but he was like, okay, I guess. Mark is like, is somebody gonna try to unalive me? The host is like, no, nothing like that. But there are weird things that happen, like supernatural things that happen here sometimes. And immediately, Mark is like, supernatural. These people are crazy. So he tells the host yes to just blow him off because he don't even believe in none of that. He goes inside the house. He's having a good time. He has a big meeting the next day because he's only there for like a couple days. That night, he's sitting in the room and he's watching TV. And he hears this faint singing. So he pauses the TV to figure out where the singing is coming from. He's like following the sound, and it sounds like it's coming from the front door. So as he's standing in the living room, he's hearing the singing. It sounds like Christmas caroling, but like not really. It's like he can make out some of the words and it sounds like it's a Christmas song, but like not really. Anyways, he's standing there and he's like, oh, I get it. I get what's going on here, because he looked at the clock and it was 12:02. He's like, okay, I get it. You guys are jokesters and someone is playing a prank on me right now. He's like, ha, 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 ha. Who is this? Like, you guys are, I get it. It's 12 and somebody want to play a prank on me. So he goes and does exactly what the host told him not to do. He opens the door. Again, he doesn't believe in anything supernatural. So he's opening the door expecting people to be there or somebody to be running, right? Except when he opened the door, no one was there. And the thing that solidified it is there was snow on the ground, and there were no footprints. When he opened the door, the singing stopped, and there's nobody there. In his head, he's like, okay, you guys are good. You guys are good. Okay. So he closes the door, and the moment he closes the door, he hears the singing again. Except the singing wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from the back door. Again, he's like, ha, 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 ha. And as he's heading towards the back, he hears the singing still, except it wasn't coming from the back, but it was coming from the side window. And at that point, he's starting to get a little frustrated. And he's like, you know what? Like, y'all, okay, I get it. Y'all trying to scare me, but this is not funny anymore. I don't want to deal with this. For the next 30 minutes, the singing was coming from all around the house. It was like circling the house. Ultimately, he decides to text the Airbnb host to tell him, like, hey, I don't know if this is a prank, but like, I'm trying to go to sleep. I have a big meeting tomorrow and this is not funny. he didn't get a response. And so he's like pacing around the house. And afterwards, the singing just stopped, right? So he assumed the Airbnb host saw his text and they stopped pranking him. So he does like a last minute all around the cabin check before he goes back to the bedroom to go to sleep. And then when he got to the living room, there was a shoe mark in front of the front door, but on the inside. And the reason why he knows it's a shoe mark because there was snow there. At that point, he's like, for sure, this is the Airbnb host pranking me because no one else has keys inside the house. And at this point, he's starting to think I don't even want to be here if this is the kind of guest, like, you're childish. Why are you playing games on your guests? So he sends a very not so nice text to the Airbnb host and he goes back to bed. When he woke up in the morning, the shoe print wasn't there anymore. And the Airbnb host had replied because at nighttime when he texted, the Airbnb host was sleeping. And the host didn't even say anything, but I'm coming over. The host came over and the first thing he asked him was, did you open the door? Did you open the door for anything? Anyone? Did you acknowledge anything? Because I told you not to acknowledge anything. He was like, yeah, I heard singing, so of course I opened the door. I think you guys are pranking me and I really think it's childish. And he starts going in and then, The Airbnb host just stared at him for a few seconds and started to walk away and told him, hey man, I understand you're not from around here, but you need to leave. Mark is like, what do you mean I need to leave? What are you talking about? The host is like, believe me, I'm doing this for your own good. I will refund you your money, but you need to go to a hotel. And at this point, Mark is furious, but the host is not entertaining it. The host just leaves. And sooner, he got a notification that Indeed said that his whole trip was canceled and that he will be getting a refund. So Mark is furious. He's like, what the hell? Like, why would you even do that to me? And the host lets him know he needs to leave as soon as possible. As you need to get going. So Mark is furious. He's about to write the worst review he ever wrote in his life. And as he's packing and he's angry, he looks outside the window. And there are two women standing there in all black. They had no faces and they were singing. Except this time, when they were singing, no sounds were coming out. He says he doesn't know how to explain it. They didn't have faces, but he could tell that they were singing, but there were no sounds coming out. And they were standing at the window. And that's when it really hit him. The host wasn't playing with him last night when they told him, you don't know about this town and you need to not open a door for anything. And he got the fuck out of there ASAP. He went and got himself a hotel and the trip went a lot smoother. But after that experience, he very much believed in supernatural because he started doing research about the town and he started finding stories similar. He even found some stories of people that didn't listen and didn't make it. Ooh, this story time was 8 minutes, y'all. I hope it gets pushed out. Every time I do a story time longer than 5 minutes, it never gets pushed out. It glitches. There's always something wrong. That's why I be doing parts. I don't like to do parts. I don't want to do them. But, whenever I don't do parts, something always goes wrong. But anyways, make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel. I just dropped a compilation video a few days before. So if you want to listen to story times from before without any interruptions, go ahead on there, subscribe, and go follow me on Instagram. All right, good night. I love y'all. And let me know what you had as a snack, okay? All right.
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen, but have you forgotten the ancient lore of the old reindeer that came before? Gloomhoof the shadowed, with eyes like coal, roams in the night where the north winds blow. Frostmane the silent, with breath so cold, freezes the hearts of the brave and bold. Nightwing the swift, a spectre in air, glides through darkness, a phantom of despair. Stormrage the fierce, with thunderous might, his eyes flash lightning in the deep of night. Shadowheart the elusive, who whispers the wind, in the darkest of woods he makes the night sing. Ironhoof the ancient, with a gaze so stern, his steps cause the earth itself to churn. Embereye the firebringer, with a burning glare, scorches the skies with a fiery flare. Wraithbell, the sorrowful, with a mournful cry, his presence brings clouds to a clear night sky. Together they roam in the darkest of nights, a legion of shadows, ancient reindeer of frights. So remember their names and the tales of yore, for they wander the earth forevermore.
I'm getting ready to show you a picture of a dark, evil entity caught on camera at Christmas time. It's proof that not all visitors come to bring joy and cheer during the holiday season. The following picture I'm getting ready to show you comes from one of my followers out of Ontario, Canada. She and her other family members were staying over at her oldest daughter's house just before Christmas about 2 years ago. There was a really bad winter storm going on, the weather was terrible, and she's just relaxing in the living room. You're going to see the Christmas tree, all the Christmas lights. It's very beautiful. On the right side of the picture, you're going to see her youngest daughter laying on the couch asleep. Now, she was just doing what we all do during the holiday season. Christmas lights, Christmas trees. She's just snapping a bunch of pictures. And she actually didn't catch this until a few days later. But she caught something that will send chills down your spine. I want you guys to watch this because this is truly incredible. This is one of the best captures I've seen in a while. Check this out. This right here, now you can't see her, but her youngest daughter is laying on the couch behind where I'm at. But I want you to look right over here. Like, there's this huge, dark figure. Now, I'm going to zoom in more for you, but this is absolutely incredible. And she also said that while she was taking these series of pictures, her oldest daughter's Rottweiler was laying beside of her, and it randomly got up and went to lay in front of the couch where her youngest daughter was. And that might not seem like a big deal, really, and she didn't think nothing of it at the time, but after she discovered these pictures, she thinks it's because the dog also picked up on this evil presence and was trying to protect her youngest daughter right over here. But I really want you to take a look at this thing. Take a screenshot if you need to. I'm going to zoom in on the foot down here in just a moment to show you. Like, it's totally incredible. Like, you can see, well, I'll just show you. I've zoomed in on what would be the right foot, but look at that. Like, it's dark, but transparent also. If you look toward the front of the foot where the toes kind of go up, you can see the light reflecting on the floor from the Christmas lights, but yet you can make out that it's still a foot. This is one of the best captures that I've seen in a long time. Seriously, check out the feet. Take a screenshot, zoom in, tell me what you think in the comments. And this lady asked me, she said, what do you think this is? And I told her my views on ghost and paranormal activity. I believe it's demonic. And she agreed because she said she didn't even realize it at the time, but she had a very off-putting feeling during this encounter. If you have any paranormal evidence or story you'd like to share, my email is listed in my bio. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless.
If you think Krampus is scary, wait until you meet Frau Perchta, the Christmas witch. But she's not just creepy, she's downright terrifying. Frau Perchta hails from Eastern European and Alpine lore. Sometimes she appears as a stunning young woman. Other times, she appears as a horrifying old crone. And one of her feet is a goose or a swan foot, which is proof of her shape-shifting powers. During the 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany, she roams the countryside. By the way, those 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany, yes, those are the 12 days of Christmas. Frau Perchta checks to see if the children have been naughty or nice, and she checks to see if the women have finished their spinning of flax by the 12th night. If they didn't follow her rules or they didn't eat her traditional feast of fish and gruel, then they are in trouble. As punishment, she'll slit open their stomachs, yank out their insides, and stuff them with straw and garbage. Yep, she's like the Michael Myers of Christmas. It is also worth noting that much of the imagery of Frau Perchta has problematic origins and it's tied to harmful cultural stereotypes. While her story is fascinating, it's important to approach her story with thoughtfulness and care. If you want to learn more about Frau Perchta, then check out my playlist, and you can also check out my blog for the full story. If you didn't know this story before, then the holidays just got a whole lot darker for you. Merry Creepmas!
In England, there's a particularly twisted ghost story that harkens back to the events that happened on a Christmas Eve around the 18th century. And according to legend, there was a once fearsome highwayman who was named Gilbert, and he would wander up and down the town's main roads. One evening, On the night right before Christmas, a man and his daughter were traveling on a horse-drawn coach when Gilbert apprehended them. The daughter was able to escape the coach, but before the father could disembark, the horses became startled and bolted down the road with the man and coachman in tow. The men, they struggled to get the horses back under control so that they could go back and find the man's daughter, who, of course, had been left with Gilbert. When they arrived at the scene, though, she was nowhere to be found. But instead, they saw Gilbert with a knife in his side. Rumor claims that once the coach took off down the road, Gilbert revealed to the girl that he was the one who took her brother's life some time before. And thrown into a deep rage, she stabbed him and fled the scene. Local legends say that Gilbert was buried on the side of the road, and every Christmas Eve, he can be seen wandering up and down the road, waiting for that coach to come back. The end.
Here are 7 Christmas horror movies to add to your next movie night to get you in that festive mood. First up is a nasty piece of work. This one is about a boss of a private equity company. He invites several employees over for a Christmas party, which actually turns into an intense competition for a promotion. This movie is so chaotic and will just constantly keep you on your toes. I had no idea what direction they were going, but I had so much fun with it. This one is a hidden gem, so definitely check this one out if you haven't. P2 is about this businesswoman who gets trapped in her office building parking garage, and she finds out that there is a psychopath that is trapped in there with her. This is a great one if you like trapped movies, kind of like a single setting location, also like a cat and mouse game where someone is trying to get to someone and they have to try to find a way to get out. I love this one and I watch it every December. Puka is about a struggling actor that takes on a seasonal job as a mascot for the hottest new toy of the year, Puka. After putting on the costume, he develops 2 different personalities, one for himself and one for Puka. This is another Into the Dark anthology series. It does have a sequel, and I do like that one a little bit more, but this one is a good one if you like Goosebumps Haunted Mask, where they put on the mask and it just takes on a whole different personality. Also, taking a childlike element and turning it sinister, that is my jam, and so I had fun with this one. Black Christmas, this is the 1974 version. This one takes place on Christmas break where a group of sorority girls are stalked by a stranger. I grew up watching the 2006 remake of this movie and I love that one, so I decided to give this one a chance. I didn't expect it to really get to me much, but this one terrified me. I don't know what it was, but the phone calls were so creepy. The way Billy ran through the halls was so unsettling. This just felt very realistic, and I have such an irrational fear of attics, and so this just made me so scared. But if you're like me and you have not seen this one, definitely give it a chance because it might surprise you. Anna and the Apocalypse is about a zombie apocalypse that is threatening this small town. This group of friends must fight, slash, and sing their way to safety. This one is a musical and I had so much fun with this. It is so naturally funny. It kind of gives me like Shaun of the Dead vibes, but musical version. My husband is not a big fan of musicals and he really liked this one, and so don't let the musical aspect chase you away. Await Further Instructions is about a family's Christmas that takes a strange turn when they wake up one day and find that they are trapped in their house, and then these strange messages start to appear on their TV with instructions. This is not the most amazing movie, but I enjoyed it. I was invested. If you're into sci-fi movies and trapped movies, then definitely check this one out. Just be warned, some of the characters are going to piss you off. ATM takes place after a company Christmas party. 3 coworkers end up trapped in this ATM building by this unknown man. This is one of my favorite trapped movies. This one stars Josh Peck, and it was really fun seeing him more in a thriller role. If you like trapped movies and mysteries, and also having that winter element be thrown in there, that just makes everything more time sensitive and just more uncomfortable, definitely check this one out.
Imagine a cozy night inside, and you hear carolers singing Christmas carols at your door. Except, they're not really there. Welcome back to Twisted Tidings, where I tell you a chilling holiday tale every single day up until Christmas. Today we're delving into the eerie phenomena of the phantom carolers. Figures that mysteriously pop up during the festive season, but their songs are anything but cheerful. Carolers are a cherished Christmas tradition, spreading joy from door to door every holiday season. But in certain towns, people speak of carolers who aren't what they seem. Phantom figures that show up at night and leave fear instead of holiday cheer. The most famous account dates back to the 1800s in a small English village. Residents reported seeing carolers dressed in old tattered clothing who would sing hauntingly beautiful harmonies outside of their homes. But when the families opened the door to thank them, the carolers would completely vanish into thin air. Over the years, sightings of the phantom carolers have continued, but each one comes with its own unsettling twist. In 1972, a Pennsylvania woman heard carolers singing outside of her home late on Christmas Eve night. When she peered out the window, she noticed several shadowy figures holding candles, their mouths moving silently as if singing. When she opened the door to investigate, they disappeared, leaving only a melted candle on her porch. In 1993, a man in Canada heard carolers singing "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen" outside his cabin. He ignored them, but the next morning he awoke to the word "Beware" in all capital letters written in the snow at his door. That same week, the chimney in his cabin collapsed, narrowly missing him. In 2010, a family in England saw a group of carolers dressed in Victorian-era clothing standing at the end of their driveway. The carolers sang softly, however their breath did not show in the frosty air. As the family continued to watch out their window, the carolers eventually turned and walked away. But when they did, they left no footprints in the snow. So who or what are phantom carolers? Some believe that they are spirits of those who have passed around the holidays, coming back to warn the living. Others claim that they are omens of misfortune, appearing before accidents or deaths. Perhaps there's something far older, tied to the darker roots of midwinter celebrations. So, this Christmas Eve, if you hear carolers singing outside your door, think twice before you open it. Because their song may not be for joy, it may be a warning. That is it for today's episode of Twisted Tidings. And remember, the holidays may be merry and bright, but until then, stay warm, stay safe, and beware of what comes creeping in the cold winter night.
Creepy Childhood Stories Part 15. Now this one is not paranormal, so if you don't like the non-paranormal ones, I'm not going to force you to watch this video. This was when I was a bit older. We were, at the time, in a pretty okay neighborhood. It was pretty safe. We knew our neighbors, all that stuff. So it was just a normal day. I grabbed my dog. I put him on a leash. I was like, come on, let's go. On our way back, on the corner, I had started to notice this one white van, kind of looking like they were lost. Then around the third time that they had circled around the neighborhood, and every single time the guy was looking at me, I was like, I do have a big dog, so no one's gonna try anything with me. He's a German Shepherd. But I'm also not gonna take any chances watching them the entire time. As they turned around the corner, I started seeing the back headlights backing up.
A family's decorating for Christmas when they see this. Julie begins to record a Wally toy after her son Jay tells her he's seen it moving on several occasions.
I saw it move over there.
It doesn't have batteries in the controller, so it should not be moving.
Wally, I wish you were alive. We can move, sir. I know at some point he's gonna move.
The toy suddenly moves to the side, but as they keep looking at it, this happens.
I was not expecting that.
Okay, I'm gonna go. What if there's a mini person in there?
What is happening?
The family screams in fear as the toy falls off the counter. Now, there might be something wrong with some Five Below toys, as many people have been reporting similar occurrences. But as always, let me know your thoughts on this one, and happy holidays.
What would you do if you received a possessed Christmas gift? Because that actually happened to someone, and I want to talk about it. In 2021, a girl named Whitney Merritt actually endured 3 weeks of what I would call poltergeist activity after receiving a vintage doll carriage for Christmas. It actually started with knocking, and on 2 occasions the knocking was so loud she literally thought somebody was knocking on her door and went to answer it. but of course, nobody was there. That knocking quickly, within the first week, escalated into banging sounds coming from their attic. But they try to write it off, make up a logical reason, like maybe the house is just settling. But that was not gonna cut it, because the sounds were happening so often. They literally got up one night. Her husband took a flashlight up to the attic to go see if somebody was up there. That's how frequent and how loud the banging was above them. Now, she says week 2 started off with a literal bang, because in the middle of the night, she was woken up to the sound of a crash, like crashing like glass. She said she thought her dog had like crashed through their glass door, and she got up to check a little bit, but she didn't really see anything. But the next morning when she got up and went to the kitchen, she noticed 3 to 4 feet away from the table was a bag of mugs she had bought from TJ Maxx, and they were on the floor. She then says the next night at about 3:30 in the morning, she hears the same sound. Now, I'm assuming from the way it's written that she had repurchased the broken mugs, like she went and got more because those got broken. Well, so did these, and this time it had crashed so hard that the glass had come out of the bags and she had to like clean it up. So she cleans the mess up. She's walking back to her bedroom when she hears what sounds like someone dropping a handful of silverware into the sink. Like, this poltergeist is fucking rude, bro. Now, she was freaked out, of course, but she was like, maybe something just fell over. Maybe I left something where it could fall. She goes back to look, and there's literally nothing in the freaking sink. After this, something started messing with her daughter's lamp and dream catcher in her room. They said it fell down a few times, and one of the times when they went in there to stand it back up, they were walking out of the room or something, and the bathroom door slammed right behind them. Now, they said they obviously messed with the door a little bit, like was testing it to see if like maybe there was like suction from wind or air or something. But she said it never happened again. The next day, the family's all in the living room when the kids' toys start going off. When they go to check, the little power switch is switched to off. Later in that evening, Whitney is like cleaning or sweeping or something, and she sees her husband walk to the kitchen. And so she asks him a question and he ignores her. And she's like, rude. And I guess she repeats herself, he ignores her again. So she goes to the kitchen and be like, hey, why are you ignoring me? And there's nobody in there. So she walks back to their bedroom because she thought she had woken him up. I guess he works night shift. So she goes back to their bedroom and he's in there asleep. And she says in the interview, like, I'm not crazy. I literally saw someone, which I believe you, girl. I believe you. So the next day was the final straw for Whitney and her family. Whitney's going to Kroger to get some grocery. One child is with the grandparents. One child is still at school. Around 12:30, her husband calls her and is like, hey, is Paxton home? And she was like, no, he's at school. So Whitney gets home and was like, why did you ask me that? And he was like, well, I heard the front door close, then I heard Paxton's door close, and then I started hearing knocking on the walls in his room. So I call his name 5 or 6 times and he's not answering me. So I went in his room, his light was on, his Xbox is on, and there's a bottle of water actively dripping, like sweating and dripping, like the water bottle was sweating and dripping on the floor as if it had been taken out of the refrigerator and been sitting in there for a little while. So finally they're basically like, enough. What is going on? So they're just thinking about all the strange things that had been happening, and Michael kind of fixates, the husband, fixates on this carriage they received, and he just gets the feeling basically to go put it outside. They go put it in their garage. Once they do that, nothing else happens. Nothing. Everything goes back to normal. She actually ended up listing it for sale and literally put in the description, yeah, it's literally haunted. I would definitely say they were dealing with a poltergeist. There was something attached to that carriage, obviously. If I might make a video on this or a TikTok on this, actually. The escalation was the exact escalation of a poltergeist haunting. Like, that is what happens from the starting with simple knocks all the way to literally mimicking people in the home visually, like physically mimicking them. So yeah. What do you think? So I had a paranormal experience this morning on Christmas morning. I was up really early, I'm not sure why, like 4 o'clock, and I was just watching TikToks in bed, but then I went downstairs to go use the bathroom, and when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I saw a ghostly, cloudy kind of figure hovering in front of my Christmas tree. It's hard to explain, but it was almost see-through, but kind of opaque at the same time. It didn't really look like a human, but it was an oblong shape, and it was about that big. So when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I just kind of froze because I'd never seen anything like this before, and I wasn't sure what I was looking at. Eventually, it noticed my presence, and it tipped from like being this way to like this way, and it like flew into my kitchen, which was cool. And me being me, I decided to follow it into the kitchen to see if I could find it. But unfortunately, it was gone. So by the time I get back upstairs, Scott's awake, and I tell him the whole story, like, hey, I had to go to the bathroom, and I went downstairs, and I saw a ghost at our Christmas tree that then flew into the kitchen. And he was like, oh, that's really interesting. That's weird. When we were unwrapping presents, these were wrapped under the tree from Scott. These two lovely portraits of a cursed couple. Either he is my new ghost, or she is my new ghost. Merry Christmas!
One of the questions that I often get is, can a elf on the shelf doll conjure up something? Now, you have to understand that these dolls are like any other doll. They essentially are a vessel for something evil or negative to inhabit. And when you are doing Elf on the Shelf, you are essentially dabbling in the occult. Now, this is a story I heard out of Austin, Texas. There was this family who lived in the suburbs of Austin. And the man was named Mike, his wife was named Donna, and they had a young son named Robbie. Well, they decided to get one of these Elf on the Shelf dolls, and they began doing harmless little pranks on Robbie. The wife, Donna, she thought like it was just, really funny, and she was having a good time with it. Mike was kind of, I don't know if this is a good idea, like, are we kind of dabbling in something we shouldn't? So this one particular night, they take the doll, which they had called Bernard, and they put it in Robbie's room. And they say, good night, Robbie, good night, Bernard, and they leave the bedroom. At about 12:30 a.m. that night, they hear Robbie screaming. And he comes running into their bedroom. He's like, Mom, Dad, like the doll was moving by itself and it growled at me. And they're like, what are you talking about, son? And he's like, it was moving by itself and it was growling. And Donna's like, well, I think Bernard's a friendly elf. I don't think he would be growling at you, trying to scare you. And she said the rest of the night, right, he was scared. He would not leave their bedroom. But, Donna at the time didn't really think anything of it. Mike, however, thought, like, maybe we've gone too far, like, we shouldn't be doing this. He tells Donna, and Donna's like, oh, no, it's harmless, like, we're not doing anything wrong. So a couple days later, they decide, we're going to take Bernard, and we're going to bring him in the kitchen. We're going to knock over some flour, and we're going to make, like, little footprints, like he'd been walking around the kitchen, like, kind of making messes. So they get that all set up, and they go to bed. Mike wakes up in the middle of the night, and he hears what sounds like someone walking around in the house. So he gets up, and, he starts looking around the house. He doesn't see anything. He thinks, oh, maybe it was just the cat. He goes back to bed. The next morning, Mike wakes up, and on the foot of their bed is Bernard. And he's just sitting up, staring at him. And when he gets up out of bed, Mike goes into the living room, where he discovers like white little footprints that look like they've been, stepping in flour. And it's going directly to the bedroom to the side of his bed. So Mike goes to his wife and was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. Like, you're playing a prank on me. I don't think it's funny. No more of this doll business. And he looks at Donna, and then he could tell, like, this wasn't a joke that she had played. So Mike decides, you know what, I'm taking this doll, I'm putting it in the garage in storage, and we're not playing with it anymore. So he takes Bernard, he puts him out in the garage in this box, and that was the last of it, or so he thought. A couple days later, he's sleeping, and he wakes up to beep, beep, like the horn in his car that's parked in the garage is honking. So Mike gets up, he goes out to the garage expecting to find someone having broken in or something, except when he goes in the garage, it's completely empty. So as Mike's exiting the garage and he's walking back to the bedroom, he said out of the corner of his eye, he's seen the shadow of something kind of move past him. And he said he hurried up, ran in the bedroom, and closed the door. The next morning, he wakes up. There is Bernard sitting on the foot of his bed, staring at him. So he takes the doll and he puts it back in the garage, except this time he puts it in a toolbox and locks the toolbox. Well, a couple days later after this, he said he'd went to bed and he woke up to the sensation of a burning feeling on his leg. When he sits up in the bed, he said he looked over and he seen this hooded black figure, and he said it was just standing in the corner of the room, and it was holding Bernard. And he said when he looked down at his leg, there were all of these scratches all up his leg. And he wakes up his wife, and when his wife, wakes up, whatever this is gone. But Bernard is there on the floor. And so Mike's like, you know what? We're getting rid of this doll. So he took the doll to the dump and got rid of it. And he calls up his friend, who actually was like a pastor at the time, and had him come over and do a blessing over the whole house.
This holiday season, let the magic of Christmas come alive in your home with The Elf on the Shelf. It's more than just a toy. It's a beloved tradition that brings families closer together, year after year. Imagine the delight in your children's eyes as they discover where the elf has moved to next. Always full of surprises and always keeping the holiday spirit alive. Your elf is here to ensure everyone in the family stays on the nice list. With its big, watchful eyes and charming smile, it's a festive reminder that Santa knows who's naughty and who's nice. It's not just a decoration, it's your family's very own Christmas companion, spreading cheer and keeping the holidays bright. And don't worry, your elf loves to explore. One day it might be perched high on a Christmas tree, keeping an eye on the room below. And the next, it could be in the kitchen, joining in the fun of the holiday baking. Maybe you'll find it on the mantle, adding its magic to your stockings, or even playing games with the presents under the tree. It's always nearby, watching over your family with care. After all, the holidays are about joy, togetherness, and being on your best behavior. Your elf is here to remind everyone of the importance of being good, because Santa's list is always being checked, twice. But the Elf on the Shelf isn't just about Rose. It's about creating memories that will last a lifetime. Its presence turns ordinary moments into magical ones, and each day is a chance to discover a little more of the holiday wonder it brings into your home. The joy, the laughter, and maybe even a little mischief, it all becomes part of your family story. So this year, let the Elf on the Shelf be a part of your Christmas tradition. Invite it into your home where it will watch, wait, and bring your family closer together in ways you've never imagined. Just remember, it's always watching. For goodness sake.